Hey, this is Brian Lane from CrowdScribed, and this is 6.5 Questions with Crystal Paine. Is it Crystal Jessica Paine?
No,
Okay.
it's Crystal Nicole.
Crystal Nicole Paine. Okay.
Yes.
Crystal is the author of The Money Saving Mom's Budget, as well as a bunch of other self-published books, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Crystal, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, question number one. Most of us kind of know the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing. You've done them both, I think. What were your favorite things, or maybe your one favorite thing about traditional publishing?
You know, the thing that I love about traditional publishing, I have another book coming out with Thomas Nelson in January. So I've been with two publishers now. I had Simon and Schuster for my first book, and now I'm with Thomas Nelson. And so I've had two completely different experiences. But with Thomas Nelson, what I've loved, one, it's really great that they foot the bill. That helps a lot, and that they bring their whole team. So, you have people who are helping you with marketing, people who are helping you with publicity, people who are helping you with the design, people are helping with editing. So you have all these people at your disposal, and I really, really like that. And they also bring a lot to the table, like when the editorial process was so great because they picked out a lot of things that I don't think I would have ever thought of, and they found, some holes in the manuscript that I never would have come up with on my own. And even sending it out to people, my friends, and asking them to pick it apart, I felt like them coming from kind of an industry sort of standpoint,
Yeah.
they had a lot to really speak into the manuscript to make it a lot stronger.
Question number two. Out of all the parts of writing a book, what gives you the most energy?
That's a really good question. I really do love the part where it's all laid out. This time I did it completely different. My first book that I didn't have an outline. I did everything wrong. I didn't have an outline, didn't have a proposal, didn't have an agent, didn't have a clue, and learned all through the process. This time I spent a year just really mulling over my idea. Then I had a proposal. I hired a proposal writer, and we had an outline. And so before I even started writing the book, I had a really solid understanding of where I was going with the book. So the actual writing of the book, I really enjoyed this time because I knew where I was going. And so it was just every day I just had to churn out the words for that particular, whatever I was trying to that chapter or part of chapter that day. And so I really enjoyed that this time, unlike the first time when I was just felt like I was just trying to figure out what I was doing as I was going.
Question number three. You've got a huge audience online at moneysavingmom.com that follows you for everything from great deals to just kind of life advice. Do you feel, in terms of your writing voice, do the books that you write feel like an extension of what you do on the blog?
Yes, definitely. I feel like it's taken me a while to come into figuring out what my voice is, and I've had different blogs, I've tried a lot of different things, and I feel like I've really gotten to a point where I know this is what I'm good at, and it's really taking big picture ideas and breaking them down into bite-sized pieces, making it really practical for people and giving them the inspiration, holding their hand and saying, you can do this. And so in my blog posts, they're just kind of shortened versions of in my book that I want to expand that more, but it's the same voice and it's the same idea.
And when you write, do you have an audience in mind? Do you have like a particular person, or just kind of you're comfortable with some amalgam of your audience?
One thing that was really interesting is for this proposal for my book that's coming out in January, I actually had to define my audience, and so I actually created an imaginary person that this book was for. And so I had to, really pictify who this person was and how old she was, how many children she had, what her kind of life was like. And that really helped me because then I could hone in on this is who I'm writing for, and just really picturing sitting across the table from that person and how would I explain this concept to that person.
Yeah, I think I've heard of other people doing that. I think that's a great idea. Question number four. What are your ideal writing conditions?
Quiet. I have to have quiet. I cannot write when there's a lot of noise. I have to have a clean house. I cannot write in a room that is full of clutter. And I do not write well with music. I know a lot of people are inspired by music. For me, music is a distraction. So very quiet. I have my office all set up as my ideal writing conditions. I don't have a desk. I have this really comfortable leather chair that my husband bought for me. My office is really just clean and like really like just off-white walls. I have a few wall hangings. It's just very, very clean. I sit in that chair in the early morning, drink my coffee, and that's when the inspiration comes.
So we won't find you at a coffee house writing a book?
Not usually.
Question number 5. It's often said that writers are readers. And I'm curious, I know it's the easy thing to do is to say, oh yeah, writers are readers, but do you think that's true?
I think for me personally, I try to surround myself with very, very solid writing in a lot of different genres. And so, for instance, I'm very intentional about the books that I read. I set a goal to read 150 books this year. And so far, I think I've read 85. So I'm excited to be on track with that goal. But I picked out 48 books at the beginning of the year in 4 different categories, so like business, personal, and just fun reading like fiction. And so then I pick 4 books for every month in each of those 4 categories, and then try to read those books every month in addition to some other books that I come across along the way. But really trying to always be reading good writing from a wide variety of spectrums, reading a lot about writing. And when I read a book, I always analyze what's working and what's not working. So if I'm reading a chapter and they're not pulling me in, I'm going to step back and say, just because I'm an analytical person, why is this not pulling me in? Why am I not connecting with this author? Or if I'm really connecting, I'm going to be asking myself, what is this author doing right that's helping me connect, and how are they accomplishing that?
And will you actually take notes on that stuff?
I don't take notes because I'm just not much of a note taker. It's all kind of just mentally that I'm analyzing the book.
Question number 6. Out of the next 5 books that you write, if you write 5 books, how many do you think will be traditionally published versus self-published?
At this point, I think probably all of them will be traditionally published, but we'll have to see. I know that I have signed a 2-book contract with Thomas Nelson, so my next 2 books are going to be traditionally published. I do have plans to do some ebooks, but as far as self-publishing, I don't have any plans for that, but that can always change.
So do you make a differentiation between an ebook and something actually being self-published?
Well, self-published, I mean, it could just be an ebook, but I would consider it to be an actual physical product. But
Okay.
maybe that's not what you were referring to. So, yes, I have lots of plans for ebooks that I'd really like to do, and I've done some on Amazon that have done really, really well. But to me, that's just kind of a whole different genre, because you can easily pull them out, and you can it's totally different than the traditional publishing, where you have to go through so many different processes to get to the final product. But I feel like in a lot of cases it's a very strong final product that you put a lot of intention into, where an ebook, it's probably not going to be as long, you're not going to dive in as deep, just because you'll lose their attention. Shorter chapters, shorter books seem to work better for ebooks a lot of the time.
All right, question number 7, last question. What's your favorite season?
My favorite season is fall, not only because my birthday's in fall, but because I think when I was a little kid, I just loved my birthday month. It's October, but also I just love the pumpkin baking, and the crisp fall leaves and sweaters and boots, and I just love it. I'm so excited that it's fall. It's almost here.
Are you a pumpkin spice latte person?
I'm not a pumpkin spice latte person. I do not like pumpkin spice lattes. I just like regular coffee with cream and sugar, but I love to bake with pumpkin.
Well, you can find Crystal online at moneysavingmom.com, and to connect with readers and authors, find great books, and even publish your own, check out CrowdScribed.com. Crystal, thanks so much for your time.